What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV. Welcome back to another post-match fan show. Tottenham have lost 1-0 out in Vitesse in the Conference League third group stage game, which leaves us in a bit of a difficult position in the group, being third, with Rennes being top and now Vitesse being second, which leaves us with no sound, people are saying.
No sound?
All right. I hope you heard what I just.
Yeah.
I hope you just heard what I just said. But yeah, it leaves us in a bit of a difficult situation with us being third, with Rennes being top and Vitesse being second. But we do have 2 home games to go and an away tie against Mura, so we really should still be getting through whatever happens. But yeah,
it's hard to watch, wasn't it?
It was a very hard watch, like every other of the Conference League games, apart from maybe the last 20 minutes against Mura. Shocking. Absolutely shocking from everyone out there today. I don't want to lay in too much to Dane Scarlett and Dylan Marcande because I think they did try their best. But everyone out there on the pitch, apart from them, was shocking today, in my opinion.
Yeah, it was a terrible performance. I think clearly our priorities were elsewhere, judging by the lineup and obviously leaving everyone else. And I think the performance showed that really where our priorities lie, because I think that it was disjointed. It was there was no focal point. If you're looking at constructing a team together and how to that can function, you know, you got fullbacks on the wing who very, very uncomfortable on the ball a lot of the time and very average on the ball moving forward. You've got midfield players who are terrible at regaining possession. You've got no focal point whatsoever, no striker who can hold up the ball. And the wingers, I thought, in flits and spurts did all right, but they had no support. They had no help with them. And they also got no one to cross the ball into. So they're crossing the ball into no one. And so all of that put together as a concoction leads to what we had tonight, which was a complete shit show.
And Golini's getting the ball and he's booting the ball up there, trying to find someone, to Dane Scarlett, who's got like some 6-foot defender on him the whole time. Yeah. And the same with Dylan Marcande, who's even shorter than Dane Scarlett, trying to win balls in the air. Well, I don't get the game plan, but
look, the plan was to just try and get a result without playing our first team players. That was the plan, and it failed, unfortunately, for Nuno. And now he really needs a result on Sunday if he wants to justify his decision tonight. Like me personally, I've been very vocal about how about this competition, and I agree that I'm happy I'm personally happy that he prioritised the league. I'm more than happy with that decision. I don't mind, but if he's going to do that, he needs to get a result in the league. If he's going to fully prioritise it, otherwise, he should have at least taken a few of the first teamers out there in case this would have happened, just to make sure you can get a result.
The fact of the matter is, if we do get a result this weekend, nobody remembers this game.
No one cares. Yeah,
nobody cares about this game.
Correct.
To be honest, even if we lose on the weekend, probably nobody cares about this game.
Correct, but it just plays into the fact that it was a mistake, more of a mistake, to have thrown away a result on Thursday to get a result on Sunday when you didn't get the result. So he needs to now. It's basically put more pressure on himself by losing this game as badly as we have. But all time will tell on Sunday. But in looking at the team, it was obvious from the start it was just going to be dysfunctional. It seemed to me. I know each individual player, you could say you can put them in the first team and in certain circumstances, they look okay, but you put them all together like that, it was obviously going to come undone, and that's what happened.
Yeah, definitely. But I want to hear what you guys have to say on the game out there. And first of all, let's go to Brian Daigle.
Hello, Brian.
What's up, boys?
I'm all right. How are you doing?
How are we doing after that?
You still awake? Still awake?
Shit show.
I nearly fell asleep in that game, Brian.
Ben, do you know what? When you said you were keeping your eyes closed, I had actually just said to my dad about 5 minutes before, I'm going up to watch it in bed. Or on bed, should I say. Because it was dire, and it's another embarrassing low for Tottenham Hotspur.
I mean,
well,
is it an embarrassing low with the team we had out today?
Listen, I've been trying to stay away from you-know-who, but I've gone mad on Twitter. We have no strength in depth. We have absolutely no strength in depth, and there's a reason why we don't have strength in depth. And people like Dele Alli, Harry Winks, Ben Davies, who I don't think is one of the negative people, but he's not up to par. We've got to semi-finals and finals. Everyone goes, look at us, we've got to semi-finals and finals. But these players don't get the job over the line. And what do? Instead of selling them and getting players in that can get us over the line, we give them new contracts. And we just repeat the cycle. And it's just shocking that, like I said, Dane Scarlett, who you know I back heavily, I said all along as well, I want Dane Scarlett to play in a 3. Like when I said Harry Kane can't play in a 3, needs to play in a 1. And what do? We play him up top by himself. Yeah. And Scarlett needs a Son or a Kane to play alongside him to begin with, to give him some confidence, to give him, and it's just pathetic.
I can hear someone playing the stream in the background. From you?
I can't tell. There you go.
There you go. That's much better.
It's all right. Yeah, but that goes to show the problem. Sorry, that goes to show the problem with Tottenham not having a second striker, relying on teenagers to fill in this position when they're clearly, for me, they're clearly not ready for this level just yet. And there's no slight on them. That's just reality. When you're 17 years of age, I mean, only 1 in a million player is ready at that age, and they're just not that just at this stage of their career. And I think it's not. I think throwing them to Wolves like this can be a bit unfair. And I think Markande came on. He was so easily muscled off the ball every time he got it, I felt, except for one time he got a good dribble and won a foul. Like, these are teenagers who should be playing under 23s or out on loan, all this kind of stuff. They're not ready for first team action just yet. But because of the lack of depth, we're relying on them. And when we're relying on them to be a focal point as well, that leads to a disjointed attack, that leads to unable to sustain attacks as well, and it leads to performances like tonight.
Brian,
you're right. Again, it goes to strength. No, I was just about to say, Ben, it goes on to strength and depth, and then you look at it, in the whole time Kane's been there, we've had Llorente, Janssen, and it's just literally, it's unacceptable. We've tried to find a replacement and needed a replacement the whole time. Every single fan knows it, yet still nothing is done, and it's acceptable. And people like Nuno get the blame, or Jose get the blame, or Poch gets the blame. And it's not either of those 3. But this has been a problem, like the attacking midfielder, like replacing Dembele, like replacing Vertonghen, and here we go. But Nuno will get the blame tonight when it's not him. But sorry, Ben, you were about to say, buddy.
Yeah, I was going to say, do you agree with Nuno's decision to leave all 11 men behind in England?
What 1 billion%? Because we need to focus on the Premier League. We need to focus on the Premier League without a doubt. And because of our lack of strength in depth, we need to keep that team fit. Now, all right, it was only a trip to Amsterdam. It's not exactly a long trip.
Sorry about that, guys, but we are back, and let's bring Brian back on. Brian, why are you crashing our stream?
I'm not, mate. I think there's another person that might be listening to me that might have done it midstream. But mate, I was just saying to Simon and Yuri, I have no idea where we were when it got cut off.
I asked you the question if you think Nuno made the right decision, and I think you were just answering that and going off on a bit of a tangent.
Yeah, that doesn't sound like me. You stop stereotyping me, mate. I don't know what you're talking about. But yeah, well, listen, Nuno made completely the right decision. We've got to make sure for the bread and butter of the Premier League that we have a respectable season. We don't have strength in depth whatsoever, so he has to rest these players. What's the point of sending them to Holland, to France, and to where's Mura, Slovenia or whatever? What's the point of sending them on a plane to sit on the bench just to fly back when they can be at the training ground working all the time on practicing and getting into shape ready for the Premier League games, because that's what we need. We're embarrassing. As a club, we're embarrassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we're third in our group now, Brian. Does if we do lose on Sunday, what does Nuno if we do lose on Sunday, does Nuno come under even does this result put more pressure for the result on Sunday for you?
So it shouldn't do. It should put more pressure on a certain person. But as we know, we blame everyone but that person, apart from a select few people. The manager will always get the blame. And how can he get the blame when he doesn't get what he wants? He has to do things like this. Nuno will be what? Listen, we're kind of like this cup. If we lose it, the banter we're going to get is off the charts. And if we win it, the banter we're going to get is off the charts. Now, when it comes to the manager, if Levy pulls the trigger, then he looks so stupid for taking 75 days to say this is the guy. And then who's going to want to come in?
I'm not talking. No. I'm not talking about being sacked. I'm just talking about pressure on Nuno for his selection tonight.
But one thing, the fans will start saying Nuno out, like we're having already. The whole club is in a complete mess. The squad is in a complete mess. And then and this is West Ham fans now will just be pissing themselves, and their banter's ready for Sunday. But Nuno I think's made the right decision. He can't risk any of that first team getting injured at all. I don't even know why Bergwijn. I know we needed strength, but Bergwijn weren't nearly ready again. Like at Rennes when he was 50-50. Let's just play players when we're 50-50 or 60-40 now, and not. That's what we're being forced into.
Yeah, and unfortunately, that's the reality with the squad we have at the moment, especially when you're playing them all together. That's, I think, the crux of the issue. I think individually they can slot in a few positions into the first team, but when you're playing them all together like we did tonight, then it leads to a kind of very disjointed performance like we saw. But hey, what can we do? You still think we'll make it out of the group? We're third, but we've got 2 home games coming up. Do you think we'll be all right?
Surely we should. Surely we should. I mean, I think what he's going to do for the home games, he'll just put them out full strength, like he did when we had to get it against Pacos. When the job needs to be done, he can only rely on certain people. So I've got a feeling there might be a few more first teamers that make it. But the thing I've got to say is, listen, people, everyone knows my feelings on this conversation, and I will not stop beating this drum. But stop spending money at the club in the ground, because we are paying for the highest tickets, we are the highest kit, and what do we get in return for that? A squad with no depth, and literally being treated like this in another low. These are teams, like you will remember, back in the day in the Europa League, we used to breeze past these people, or at least put in a performance. That's not even a performance anymore.
We used to play a strong, much stronger team, didn't we?
Yeah, but we also had a better strength in depth.
Yeah.
We also have better strength in depth. But remember that good old build for the future. I told you, Oda Efasa from 1882 to 2001 meant to dare is to do. And from 2001 to present, it stands for build for the future. 1 trophy in 20 years is acceptable. But everyone else can blame Nuno and blame everyone else. Oh, it's COVID. Oh, it's this. Wake up. Wake the hell up.
All
right, Brian. Always a pleasure to have you on, and looking forward to having you in the studio Sunday.
Yeah, well, let's just say Sunday, please God, I've still got 100% record, so let's go with that. And on that, I'll leave with my famous 2 words, which is, as you all guys know, Levy out.
You didn't wait for me to say and as always.
Oh, okay, go on.
And as always,
Levy out.
There you go. Big up, Brian. We'll see you soon. Always
talking of West
always
Ham,
a joy having Brian on. What'd you say?
Talking of West Ham, in terms of resting players, and we rested our players. Well, West Ham, there's no Antonio tonight. I don't know if he's injured.
I don't think he is, no.
Well, there's no Antonio tonight. There's no
Is he not even on the bench?
No, he's not on the bench, so maybe he's injured. There is no Soufal. There is no Zuma. There is no Fornals. There's no Benrahma. And no Fabianski. And no Ogbonna. So a bit of a mix and match team as well when it comes to West Ham. But they do have
So
the
who is
likes
playing out of their first team lot?
Souček, Rice, Bowen, Lanzini, Diop. So a few like first teamers.
All right. Let's keep going. Next up is. Oh my days.
All right.
If you are waiting to come on in the background, apparently you have all frozen. So please try and reconnect, and we'll get you on. But while we're waiting, watch on for the West Ham game, I guess.
Yeah, we're just watching the West Ham game as things stand. It's currently 0-0 against Genk. I guess we're doing some scouting for the weekend, as you can say, while we wait for players to wait for people to come onto the
That's half an hour gone already.
Yeah, half an hour gone, still 0-0 there against Genk. But yeah, today's performance from Tottenham was really hard to watch. I think that's probably what people are most angry about, is just wasting 90 minutes of their time watching that dross when it was like there was nothing to get excited about, there was no chances, there was no football being played. It was just kind of trying to see how many times we can stop them scoring like within 90 minutes. It was really a difficult performance to watch, and that's the most frustrating thing. It just felt like a waste of time, and we end up losing the game. I feel bad for all the fans who travelled all the way there to watch that, because
well, don't feel so bad for them. They had a nice city to enjoy.
I guess that's one thing I guess they had to enjoy, but I'm sure they would have wanted a good performance.
Kareem 098 in the chat is saying he's waiting to join. Can you see anyone trying to come in called Karimo? Yeah. All right, you're in, mate. You'll come on. Don't you worry about that. But let's go to Sai. Sai, how's it going, my friend? Long time no speak. You good?
Guys, is my internet and signal okay? First of all,
not really.
We'll go with it.
Brilliant.
You look comfortable though.
Yeah,
Just
I had to come and relax for a minute. You know,
we miss you at the train station, Sai.
It's too cold for that now, and it's too dark.
Fair enough. But on the game today, obviously it was just a complete shit show, complete dross on the pitch today. But what did you make out of the performance?
There wasn't one.
Yeah.
So there's nothing really to discuss on that point. I think for me, I'm with Brian on most of the points, obviously, anyway, as always. But for me, like with Sim was saying in the WhatsApp group earlier, it's like I'm not angry because I don't really care about this competition. I think it is definitely an opportunity to try and win something, but even then we can't do it. But I think for me personally, my anger is towards some of these senior players and these players that have an opportunity to come knocking on that first team door. Mm-hmm. And I say it a lot. You know, in the real working world, these people, if they were in another job, would not be there for long at all. Most of us have like targets, KPIs, and all these things. I know it sounds a bit mental to compare that with football players, but the fact of the matter is, these players don't care. These fringe players simply do not care. You got Winks and Dele, who are our senior players, and Davies as well there, to be fair, but he's always terrible. But Winks and Dele, guys, are really senior players. They've been in a position for, I would say, 2-3 seasons now of an opportunity to try and enhance themselves to where they used to be. And they just don't take it. I'm just like, people always say like, oh, some of these players should look in the mirror. They don't look in the mirror. They don't care because they're getting paid anyway. Doesn't matter. They'll wake up tomorrow after their nice flight back and their free drinks and this, that, and the other. And then they'll go on their PlayStation. They'll turn up for training for a bit, maybe not even do that because they'll probably have the day off. And then it's back to the same rubbish, isn't it?
Yeah. But in like with what you just said, right, with these same players letting us down time and time again, Did Nuno make the right decision to leave all our first 11 players at home and play these players again?
Yeah, do you know what I think?
Altogether, I mean.
Yeah, I'm surprised there weren't a couple from the first team to at least be on the bench. But I think, the seriousness of it is like we need to win that West Ham game. It's a big game. It's their cup final. The Premier League takes precedence, as we know. But I think, like, irrespective of whether there were first team players there or not, you have to look at the opposition we were playing tonight and look at our team. Yes, it's not our first team, but arguably, and Glenn said it after the game, this team that we had there tonight should have been good enough, or at least have the attitude to turn up. And none of them did. None of them. Not one player turned up. You talk about Lo Celso, right, who's played the 3 fantastic games for Argentina last week. He's not played at the weekend against Newcastle, so he should be quite fresh and up for this. Nothing. Gil, there was a couple of brilliant things in the second half, but I don't really blame him much because look what he's got around him to play with. The back defence was shocking as always. The goalie is always... Golini, I don't know. I just hope he's not the Lloris replacement, I swear, because every game I've seen is shocking.
Do you think he should have saved that goal?
Well, I think he's just too flat-footed sometimes. I think it's not just this game. It's a multitude of games that he's played where I'm like, what are you doing? Like, maybe it's their mentality that some of these players, like tonight, and don't get me wrong, like from a morale perspective, they're probably, some of these players are thinking like, oh, well, we're just in the crap team. Like we just play Thursday nights. Well, I'm sorry guys, but like I go and play Wednesday night, right, with my 9-a-side team. And it's not like professional or anything, but I'll turn up with 110% because that's what I expect from myself. And the team that I play on, the side that I play on. And it's semi-professional, it's like serious. Honestly, I would take my 9 players on my team that I played with last night and put that in the Tottenham team that was there today because they would have fight. And I know people that went all the way to not Amsterdam, but like Holland today to go and watch that. And I thought it was extremely disrespectful at the end of the game. Even the commentator guy was asking Nuno, what about the fans that have turned up today? What have you got anything to say to them? And he's like, yeah, thanks for the support. Yeah, what's said in the dressing room stays in the dressing room. No, tell us how it was, please, because we all know anyway. Like, show some honesty and respect to the fans that we're just treated like idiots half the time. These players do not care. No chance. They do not. Some of the youth players, like Scarlett and all that, of course they care because they want to make an impression. But how can they make an impression with that absolute garbage around them? Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's demoralising for them. It's demoralising to put a player like Gil's ability in that team. Forget taking him. Or just don't play any of those senior players at all. Just take the youth team and see what they do and let the tournament be what it is. Like, it's not the Europa League. It's definitely not the Champions League level. Forget it. Go and play the youth team over and over again. Otherwise, we're just going to get frustrated as fans every week watching that absolute dross. And I'm sick and tired of the attitude of the players. This is the most annoying part for me, right? Because these teams are always tricky anyway. The attitude stinks. And we're talking about players, Dele and Winks, I'm pretty sure, are on a very good wage. I'm talking about, people have to work like 2 years to get what they have in 1 week. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, don't even turn up for a Thursday night.
These are the players that Mourinho would continually play on a Thursday and then like hook them off because they weren't doing the job for him on a Thursday night, and he'd complain about them, Mourinho. And now Nuno's still having them, and Nuno's having to rely on them on a Thursday. Do you think, though, in a way, leaving the best players at home or first team players and then all of a sudden the players who are on the pitch, they didn't have that kind of safety net of the first team to come on and save their asses? And maybe, do you think it kind of showed them up for what they are in a way?
Yeah, I'm sure there's a bit of a back end funniness from Nuno about that, in the sense that the first team is the first team. And you could argue that one or two players from tonight would be in around that team, because at the end of the day, the realistic approach of this is there is no other alternative. This is what it is. So I'm not, like I said, I'm not angry about, I am angry that we lost and everything, obviously, but I'm not angry because my anger goes to the players that should have been turning up today, because they have an opportunity to be on that bench on Sunday. Now, after this and all the fans' perspective and the general club momentum, I wouldn't want any of them on there. Go away. See you next Thursday. Like, that is it. That is your level now. Like, some of these players don't want to be there. We know that. I'm adamant that Dele and Winks and all this lot wanted away in the summer. No one came in for them. Are you surprised why no one came in for them? Absolutely not. So for me, it's just a general observation that we all knew about this anyway. What were you expecting? People are like, oh, I'm really disappointed with today. Really? Are you disappointed about what? What were you expecting? And it just goes back to like Brian's point about the lack of investment, the lack of depth. You know, we just hope that our first team players get the injuries that they've had over the last couple of years, because there is no one to bring in to help them out. And it's kind of concerning in that way. But the Thursday night philosophy is what it is. But at least turn up. And at least turn up for the fans, especially that spend all their money and time, as always, going to the games. You know, that's the most important thing that I'm angry about. I'm being quite calm about it. But in any other world, in any other job, some of these players, in fact, I would say 80% of that team tonight would not last a week. At least certainly in my job, in my company, they would not last a week if you had that comparison of footballing to the real world work that everyone here does. You know, that's the angry part for me.
All right, Si. Always a pleasure to speak to you, my friend. And when am I next seeing you? Man, you at home? You there?
Oh yeah, man, you're at home, mate. Do you know what? On another point, I went to get my brother a ticket, and it was £80, and that was in the fan end. You know,
I might have a ticket for you. Message me.
Oh well, yeah, mate. Yeah, you know where I am.
Message me.
Of course, mate. I just think it's atrocious. This whole situation.
It is atrocious. It is atrocious.
I couldn't believe it.
We'll speak to you soon, Si.
Thanks, guys. Thank you.
Up the Spurs. Come on.
Come on.
Super chat here from William Kelly saying, I think it's a masterstroke by Nuno. He is showing the owners, if you don't spend, this is what you are in for every week. Well, every other week on the Thursday night in the Conference League, yeah.
I mean, how many times have we said that about managers? Oh, he's showing the owners. It's been going on for years and they're not getting the message. So, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Like,
you know, the thing is,
I don't think it's a masterstroke, but I just think it's a necessity.
The thing is, right? Like, everyone's going like, yeah, okay, fine. Nuno's done well here to leave 11 players at home. I don't see why you don't bring some of these players to sit on the bench at least, so he can impact things when things are not going right.
Maybe maybe those players need that lack of safety net to actually realise that they need to step up, and they didn't today. But maybe that's what they need. That's the kick up. Maybe they need that kick up the arse to like, look, I'm not going to give you cadence on the bench. You're going to have to figure out yourselves, and you have to prove to me you're good enough. Otherwise, you're not going to be playing in the Premier League, and that's it.
But even with Kane and Son on the bench, the message is still the same. They're not good enough in the Conference League. They're not going to get minutes in the league.
Yeah, true. But now it's their fault to see, isn't it?
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Let's get Brad Matthews on. Brad, how's it going, mate?
Hi, guys. Yeah, not too bad as far as it's Thursday night and tomorrow's Friday and the weekend is concerned. But as far as Tottenham Hotspur Football Club are concerned, not good at all. That was appalling tonight. Absolutely appalling.
First and foremost, Brad, do you think that Nuno did make the right decision leaving 11 players at home? 11 first-team players.
Yes, I do actually, and I'll tell you for why. First was what Sim actually just said, that if you put that first team out there, they know that they've got 90 minutes on that ground because there's no cavalry to come on. So I think that works as a good thing. The other thing is that if you look at the league table at the moment, if you it's set that Chelsea, Man City, and Liverpool will be the top three. I don't think there's anyone that, at the moment that stands out to be the fourth place for the Champions League spot. And Tottenham are literally in fifth on goal difference from fourth. So, we have a chance there if we can play.
We
best
were
of our
also
ability.
top of the league at this stage last season.
We were, but forget about that. No, so I think at the moment that we must be thinking, well, actually, it's their good enough, and I think that's why Nuno has kept his team at home. I mean, that team played pretty well on Sunday. I felt the forward line worked pretty well, and I think he's kept his team at home so they can train, go through tactics, all that sort of thing, and not have to worry about sitting on a bench in a night in Holland and have to come on. And then, what happens if we bring on the cavalry tonight and one of them gets injured, then that's Sunday stuffed. The other thing is that team that was out there tonight, they should have won that game. They're good enough to beat that team, but they just didn't have the application. They just didn't have the skill. They just didn't at any minute, apart from maybe the first 5 minutes in the second half, at any one time in that game did they look like they were capable of even scoring. I mean, I think we had one shot. One shot. I think Dele Alli
Winks dribbled it down the throat of the keeper.
Yeah, and I think the team that played tonight, maybe Brian Hill and Lo Celso can come out of it with a little bit of reputation. I thought Brian Hill did a few good things in the first half. Start the second half was very unlucky with the shot, and Glenn Hoddle said if that goes in, then maybe you have a different result. But I thought he faded in the second. He tried his best, and he was up and down the pitch, and Lo Celso showed a couple of moments. And also, I thought Dane Scarlett did his best, but as Brian said earlier, you can't put a 17-year-old as your number one striker in a European competition. And again, that points back to, the lack of depth. I'm not saying that Kane should have played alongside, but a other striker we haven't got, So,
although Brian did say once upon a time he wanted Dane Scarlett to replace Harry Kane.
Well, there is that, yeah. But no, even so, even if that happened, you'd still would hope that you'd buy someone in to replace Kane if you sold him to play alongside Dane Scarlett and just sort of showing the ropes. But I thought Scarlett was he tried tonight. He's a little bit unlucky with some of the decisions that went against him.
That ref was shocking today, wasn't he?
It was awful, absolutely awful. I mean, not an excuse for losing because we were poor, but he was awful. And I was just saying, he should be wearing a yellow shirt. The irony was he was wearing a blue shirt. So but as for Ben Davis, when he came on for his after-match interview, blaming the ref, blaming the pitch.
Is that what he said?
Oh, did he? Did he blame the ref and the pitch?
He said, "Oh well, the pitch was very. He said it was a difficult game, very difficult game. Oh, the pitch was difficult to play on, and I thought the ref was, a little bit sort of, against us sort of thing." I'm paraphrasing him. He probably didn't put it in those words, but he said everything apart from we were awful. And it's like, well, they played on the same pitch. They seem to do pretty okay on it. And then Si was totally right when they asked him about the fans. What do you say to the fans tonight? You or I would have said, "Oh, just really thanks for coming, but really sorry for that performance. You deserve better." But no, he just said, "Oh, I'd like to thank them for coming. They were brilliant." Well, to be honest, and our fans are brilliant, but to be honest, I don't think I heard them in the whole game. So,
I don't know how many there were actually there. I mean, there couldn't have been more than a couple of hundred there, I don't think.
They showed them at one point in the game, and there wasn't that many. I didn't see the actual thing on the website because they normally have the allocation, don't they, on the website?
The allocation was 1,000, and I know that every single person that applied got one.
Oh, okay, so 1,000, which I think, you probably would. I mean, the Dutch fans sang the whole game, so I guess they would have drowned out our guys anyway. But it was just, and then Nuno more or less said the same thing. Oh, it's hard. Oh, I'd like to thank the fans for coming. And it's like, well, no, we just want honesty. We just want someone to come out and say, sorry, that's not good enough. We let you down tonight. But they don't. They always find some excuse. And, on the bright side, Nuno knows his first 11 now. He's been struggling to say, well, who's my first 11? But he knows who they are now.
Definitely. Do you think though the result puts a bit more pressure on Nuno to get a result on Sunday, considering he's made the decision to leave everyone at home, And if he doesn't get the result on Sunday, then you kind of argue like maybe he shouldn't have done that today.
I think what will happen is, the natural thing if we have a bad result on Sunday was, that worked or didn't work. But I still think it's the right decision. And even, it's up to the players, isn't it? If we perform poorly, again tonight, we always blame the poor old coach, poor old manager. Tonight, the players. You can't blame Nuno for tonight. And if our players, he's got his first 11. He's got the tactics, I think, for that team right. So if they don't play on Sunday, then it's not really down to Nuno. It's down to the players. So, but then, that would be a natural. That would happen. The press would say, he shouldn't have left them at home, blah blah blah. But they'd be the same ones on the front page tomorrow if Harry Kane came on tonight and got injured. So, he can't win, the poor guy.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, Brad, always good to speak to you, my friend.
Okay, I hope to see you at the Man United game.
Yes, let's hope so.
Brad.
Yeah, okay, cheers guys, have a good night.
Speak soon, Brad.
Speak to you in a bit.
Bye.
Come on, you Spurs. Got a few super chats here from The Truth Sets Free. He sent 3 super chats here with no comment. So thank you very much for the support. Means a lot to us. And let's move over to the next. And that is Kareem. Kareem, how you doing, my friend?
Hello, guys. How are you?
We're good. How are you?
Yes, Kareem.
I'm good. As good as I can be.
Yeah, it wasn't the best performance, was it, Kareem? Obviously, they all had a chance to stake a claim for the first team tonight, all the fringe players who came into the team. What went wrong for you tonight? Why do you think the performance was so disjointed? Was it application? Was it just the makeup of the team? What was it for you?
I think it was the makeup of the team. That's because they didn't perform 100%. You look at the fluidity of the team. We didn't create too many chances that game. I thought we were quite poor offensively. And when you have players like Lo Celso, Brian Hill, and Steven Bergwijn, you expect at least a couple of chances, more shots on the goal, and a bit more exciting play. And here's where, for me, the manager is going to have to take responsibility. The players do have to take responsibility for not being 100%, but this is where the manager is going to have to take responsibility. Playing Dele Alli at the 10 is just set up to fail. This guy cannot play at the number 10 position. He's proved it over the last 2 years. He could play at the number 10 under Pochettino, where he was at shadow striker for Kane, running beyond him. But that's not the system we play anymore. We don't have Eriksen feeding balls in anymore. And playing Dele Alli at the 10 is just set up to fail. He was disgusting today. He's a shit player. I don't want to ever see him play for Tottenham again. And I don't understand why we do this when we have players like Lo Celso and Ndombele. Ndombele now has been pushed to the 10, but when we have a player like Lo Celso who, at the international break for Argentina, he's been playing really well because he plays higher up the pitch. He didn't have the best of games, but I guarantee you, if Lo Celso's playing at the number 10 position behind the striker, alongside Hill, and not having to track back and do the dirty work and allow him to play to his strengths, we would create 1 or 2 chances. Look what happened to Ndombele when we pushed him up the pitch. When we pushed him up the pitch and played Skip and Højbjerg behind him, he looks much better. And I think Lo Celso is the same type of player. He prefers to play higher up the pitch. And playing Dele Alli there it's just fucking bullshit. And I'm tired of it. This guy needs to learn how to develop his game. Either he develops his game to become a central midfielder, defensive midfielder, like how he was against City and those early games against Watford and Wolves, where he actually was tracking back and he looked okay because he put in 100%. But other than that, he shows nothing going forward. I'm sure there's a correlation between playing Dele Alli higher up the pitch and us creating chances, like zero, like nothing.
Yeah. I agree. Dele is very frustrating, isn't he? He's kind of not doing anything in the final third, and especially when he's one of the 4 attacking players, we need him to kind of produce something, get on the ball and feed some through balls, get some shots off. But unfortunately, he just hasn't been up to it. This whole season, he hasn't contributed anything really in the final third, has he? And
past 3 seasons.
Yeah, and you're expecting him to stake a claim for the first team. And maybe it's just a case of him not being good enough. Maybe that's just the thing, because we all know that at his best, Dele Alli, even when he was scoring 18 Premier League goals, we all know that he was a player who relied on moments during the game. He was never a player who was consistently involved in the build-up play, playing lovely passes, and he would always be very, very quiet. He would always be kind of go unnoticed, and he'll just pop up with a late run or a piece of magic, and then he would turn up. But now he doesn't have, as you say, he doesn't have Eriksen with him feeding him those passes. He's now has to rely on his own quality to be part of the team, and maybe he just isn't that good. Maybe we just have to face facts at this point.
He isn't. And he's one of the 5 players that I think are deadwood at this club and need to go. He has shown no ability this season to say he's good enough for Tottenham Hotspur. He's not good enough. I don't think he's good enough to play in the Premier League. I don't know which club would take him. There's rumors of him going to Newcastle. Newcastle are on the rise with their new ownership. Why would they sign Dele Alli? Dele Alli is not good enough for the Premier League. And that's just a fact. It's just a fact. Before he was good, he relied on moments and he seemed more hungry. But once he got that new contract and you saw just his attitude and the way he plays, it's just dead. He's gone. And the other 4 players that have to get a mention, I just want to put out their names. It's Winks, it's Doherty, it's Ben Davis, and it's also Eric Dyer. I think these 5 players in total with Dele Alli need to move on from the club, honestly. They're just rubbish.
What's the answer for us in this competition then? If we're going to persist with prioritising the Premier League, with these players left at home and what have you, what is the answer for us? Because clearly we're not getting a tune out of these players. So what can we do to move forward in this competition?
I think it's not that deep. I don't think we need to reintroduce some of the starting 11 into this team. I don't think. To be honest, I can't really understand what it is from the club. Are we going for this Conference League or are we not? But my opinion is just slight adjustment. It's just playing players to their strengths in the right positions, and I think today we get a better result. I mean, I don't think it's too bad. I don't think we're our second string team today. It should have beaten that team today.
What would you have done differently today then?
I would have played with Celso at the 10, and I would have taken Dele either to play in defensive midfield and him do the dirty work. And I guarantee you, we would have just looked better. But then it's obviously up to the players to give 100%, because that's what they didn't do. I want to give blame towards the manager and the players. It's both of them, and players didn't give 100% today.
And yeah, and it doesn't help as well when without Kane or Son, we're relying on a 17-year-old Dane Scarlett, who, as much as I think he's got quality and he's going to be a great player for Spurs in the future, I just don't think he's ready right now. And we're putting him in these games where I think he's getting pushed around and he's getting bullied and he's not seeing any of the ball. And I don't know if it's helping him having him up front, and it's not helping the team because not to be harsh on Dane, but it kind of feels like we're playing with 10 men when he's up front, unfortunately.
I mean, to be honest, I missed a good part of the first half. Okay, mm-hmm. I mean, I don't remember him getting a shot on goal. I don't remember us creating opportunity for him. And to say Harry Kane, we need Harry Kane or Son to come back. Why would we bring Harry Kane on in this game and burn him out possibly for Sunday? We already know he's got fitness problems. We already know he looks a bit sluggish when he plays too much, and we just completely overplay him. I mean, do we need probably? I think he's one of the best strikers in the world. Do I think we need one of the best strikers in the world to come play against Vitesse on a Thursday to beat them?
Mm-hmm.
I think we've got enough players to beat them. It's just about making having the right players in the right positions, and obviously playing, towards 100%. It's not about bringing Son and Kane back. We don't need to rely on Son and Kane. Those are two world-class.
Yeah, but without Son and Kane, we're relying on a teenager.
I mean, yeah, I don't. He hasn't proved that he's not good enough. He hasn't proved that he's good enough. I agree with you. I think we should have signed a strike.
He was just getting into it there.
That was just getting good, Kareem.
If you're watching, Kareem, do try log back in.
He's back. He's back
on. Oh, yeah. He's back.
Go on, Kareem.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, I forgot what I was saying.
No, we're talking about Dane Scarlett. You were about to say he hasn't proved that he's good enough or not good enough. But what I would say to that is just, as he's a 17-year-old kid, he shouldn't be at the stage where we're relying on him. I don't think it's fair on him to be judged on right now like that.
And this is where I agree with the previous callers, where we're saying that there's a lack of investment in the team. We should have signed another striker. Why are we just having one recognized number 9? Last year we had Vinicius. Vinicius would have been perfect for a game like this. He wasn't amazing, but he did the job sometimes. And that goes back on Daniel Levy. That goes back on maybe Paratisi. I don't know if he can make the calls like this or not, but a second striker is definitely needed to take the pressure off Kane and not to put too much pressure on Scarlett. I agree with that 100%. But again, I just want to reiterate, Dele Alli at the number 10 position, it's going to cost us. It's like playing with 10 men. It's horrible. I think we should either get rid of him or tell him, listen, develop your game as a defensive midfielder, because that's the only time he's ever looked bright for us. I mean, other than that, he's been utter shit.
All right, Karim. Nice to hear from you. Nice to see you.
Nice to see
And
you guys.
hopefully better results next time.
Exactly. I want to see smiley faces on Sunday night.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. And hopefully I see you guys in for the Tottenham Man United game. I'm going to be in London for that.
How are you?
Come
So
we'll
come
see you
say
in the
hi. We'll
stadium.
be in the South Stand.
Yeah, I can't wait, guys. I can't wait.
Looking forward, Karim.
Looking forward to it. Message us on social media.
Yeah, I'll DM you guys or something.
All right.
Nice one.
Up the Spurs. Come on. That was a great call from Karim. Let's move on. By the way, just before we move on, actually, I want to say another thank you to Truth Sets Free for another super chat with no comment as well. So big up, like I said, all appreciated. It means a lot to us. So let's move on to Phil. Phil, how's it going, mate?
Yeah.
Like us, mate. Like us.
On top of the world. Yeah. It's just, oh my God. That was just, it was painful. And I think my main point that I want to make is I really feel for Dane Scarlett. You know, he had a good opportunity tonight. He got a little bit bullied first half, but he just didn't get a service or anything. And it was almost like there were 10 other people that didn't really want him to play, but he was picked by the manager. You know, remember when we were kids and you played football and, you know, the coach was somebody's dad and they put him on and it was like, oh, I'm not passing to him because he's just, it just felt like that. I just felt he was a lost soul, but I thought he did all right in the second half. I thought he started to sort of pick up a little bit, but just got bullied, didn't he?
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like I don't want to come across as I'm criticizing him, but he just doesn't seem physically ready. He's 17. It's not a surprise that he's not physically ready. But like the fact that we're relying on him like right now to be our second choice striker, and you can see how out of his depth right now he is. I'm sure in the future, maybe in a year or so, he's going to be a fine player for Tottenham. I've clearly, even the small bits I'm seeing tonight, I can see quality in him. I really can. But he is 17 years of age. It's 1 in a million that you're going to be ready at this age, and we shouldn't be relying on him as second choice striker. And we have no other choice, and that's the biggest issue. I feel bad for him.
Yeah. And then you've always got that dilemma then, isn't it? It's like, do you try somebody who's not ready or do you take Kane and risk it? You know, imagine Kane getting injured tonight and misses West Ham, Man U, and, you know, I think it's Burnley next week. It's like, that's the wrong decision. So he's like, you kind of feel Nuno's backed into a corner with no real structure or way out. And
I don't blame Nuno for playing Scarlett.
No.
I might have done the same, even knowing how it might have gone. I might have done the same just because I prioritised the Premier League that much. But that's just the reality of our squad, unfortunately, isn't it? Like if we're not playing Kane, that's why he has to keep Kane and Son on ice because, you know, if imagine if Kane gets a long-term injury and we actually have to start Scarlett in the Premier League, you know what I mean? That would be just disastrous. So it's much better we play him here and then have Kane for the weekend rather than have any sort of risk that we have to play Scarlett in the actual Premier League games, which would really be terrible.
Yeah, I mean, there was no risk tonight, was it? Because we still got two home games, which you would expect to win, and, you know, the away one to Mora. But again, the other thing is, like, you know, you look across, that our team was still filled with majority of internationals there that just didn't step up to it. I thought Dele, and I know Kareem said it, I thought Dele had a shocker tonight. Every time he got the ball, it was like, I'm sluggish, I'm looking to do something, but I don't really know what to do. Same with Winks, whether Gio was played slightly out of position and maybe should have gone into the 10 position. I don't know. But
well, he created our brightest moment, didn't he, Gio, with that little run, which nearly set up a goal for Hill. But other than that, we didn't see much of him. Do you think, like, in terms of that, like the debate, like, was it the makeup of the team that made us look so disjointed, or was it application? Because if you look at the team, like we've got fullbacks there in Davis and Tanganga who just are not very good on the ball. You can play them in the Premier League, it's not going to make them any better on the ball. You got 3 players in the centre in Dele, Gio, and Winks who have never been very good at retrieving possession, even at the best of times. And you've got 3 of them together who just weren't able to handle the physicality of the Vitesse centre midfielders. And then you've got a teenager up front who's completely out of his depth. So, is it any surprise that we look completely disjointed?
No, not at all. I thought the application of, the few that you mentioned, so Alli's and Winks, Ben Davis, for me, they've had so many chances at Tottenham and they're just not good enough now. It's like if they were playing for, if they were playing for Norwich now, there is no way that we'd be going, in January, I really want to sign Ben Davis. Got to go and get Harry Winks. He's the next one coming forward. But that's the reality of our situation. And the quicker we can get some signings in and get these few people out of the club. And I honestly, I think tonight I would have rather they played, if you look at obviously all the youth on the bench, if they played all the youth and we'd lost 2-0, but they'd had a good go and they'd had the right application, I think I would have been way happier than what we had out there tonight.
But Phil, what has happened to these players? Ben Davis aside, because Ben Davis ain't in this category, but, Harry Winks, Dele Alli, both of them at one point a few years ago, 2-3 years ago, they were talking about them for the England role. They're the future of England. They're the future of Tottenham. They're going to have long careers for England. Even at one point, they were saying, Winks offers something that no one else can for England. He's going to be here for a long time. And they were saying the same about Dele Alli, 20 goals in a season, 18 goals, whatever it was, when he was 19 or something. So what has happened to these players?
Do you know what? I would love to know. I'd love to be able to sit and say to you, this is the answer. But I don't know whether it's a case of they've listened to their own hype, but as we've moved on a little bit, or people like Eriksen has moved on, because I think Ali has really lost out by the 2 that he's lost out is having Dembele behind him and Eriksen, because it just made it so solid. And now he has to do a little bit more for himself or create something. I think it now just highlights, whereas before he was a good player in a brilliant team, whereas now he's a good player in an average team. So he doesn't sort of stand out. And I think that's some of it. With Winks, I don't know. Again, I think, did we see something more than he really was? Was he really that good? None of the big, okay, they did with Ali, but nobody big ever came in and sniffed around with Winks and was like, we're having a look at him. And, generally when you have a good player, you have people sniffing around. And although we're a big club, there's still people out there that can try and tap them up and stuff. But it never really happened with them. Not even Dele to some extent. I don't ever remember him being closely linked away. It was only when he started dropping off that PSG came out. But, it's...
Yeah, if we're playing him in the number 10 against Vitesse and he still can't perform, is it... I think, every summer we go through the same thing. Are we going to... This is the summer Dele gets back to his best. We're going to see the real Dele Alli. He posts all his pictures about him training, getting ready for the season and whatnot. And then the season starts and it's been for the 3 years, it's just been exactly the same thing. I mean... At what point is it ever going to hit to get into Levy's head or whoever's head that it's just not going to happen, is it? He's never going to get back to the level that he was.
No, and I would suggest now again. I think I said it to you guys before, but you think how much his value was the weekend after we played Madrid and he scored 2 at Wembley compared to now. And I think, your Levy will be like, well, he's, I could still be getting 60, 70 million for him. I think, that's in dreamland. I think if somebody offered us 30 for Dele now, I think you'd have to bite their hand off because I don't think that'll be many people. And the 40 you talk about for Harry Winks in the summer is just in bloody unicorn land, isn't it?
But I think that's the
in
thing.
Daniel Levy land.
Yeah. But that's the thing. I think Levy's still going to count on them as part of the squad until they get their value up because their values just drop like a rock.
Their contracts are going to run down then.
Yeah, that's what's going to happen. And he's going to be left with with a very sticky situation. I think Levy, that's why he didn't want to get rid of him to PSG or whatever, and that's all these reasons. Mourinho was more than happy for him to go, but Levy wasn't interested because he wants the value that he closed his eyes. He saw 100 million for Dele Alli all those years ago. And now he's barely worth 30, and he can't. I don't think Levy can really. His head can't get around it. Basically, that he's lost down all that money, and now we're in a situation where he's not contributing to the team. But yet, Levy I reckon, will continually push managers to use him until he gets his value back up. But it's probably never going to happen.
No, it's not, and that's the whole point, which I think I said the other day, is leave Levy to doing the finances and everything for, the estate, and leave Paratici to worry about the football. Because I would suspect he'd look at that and go, I'm never going to get 70, 80 million for him. But if I bin him off, I might be able to get a half decent striker or somebody to be able to, take a bit of the, stuff away from Dane Scarlett. But you need a football decision in there, not a money decision. Winks, not good enough. Dele Alli is past his best. And it does feel that he's been
at 25. How can you be past your best at 25? But he is. I don't know how you can, but you can somehow. You can.
No, and I don't know, what he's ever going to do to be able to pull that back.
Well, let me ask you this, Phil, on Dele Alli. Do you think there's ever a case, a la Jesse Lingard, where he goes on a loan for a year, half a year, to another Premier League club or another club around Europe and gets his mojo back and then comes back? Do you reckon there's ever a situation where that can happen?
Again, if you'd said it to me this time last year, I'd be like, no, but it definitely worked for Jesse Lingard. But I think without a doubt, Dele Alli needs a new challenge. So you either send him somewhere on loan and we see what happens and then we potentially bring him back, or you just cut your losses and say, thank you for your service, thank you for your time. But for too long, you've been too far off it. But I don't know now who would come in. If you're looking Premier League club, I don't know, maybe an Everton might be the best he get. He wouldn't get in at a Leicester. He wouldn't get in at any of the top five.
Can't we persuade Newcastle?
Well, that's the hope, isn't it? That when you start with your ridiculous money, and it's like, if can you imagine that on January the 1st, it's like, oh, we sold Dele for 60 million. You'd be like, it's like Christmas a week late, isn't it?
Yeah.
But I don't know. Maybe it would be a good fit at Newcastle, because unfortunately he's still a big star. So it's a good name for them to go and get. But I don't know. I just, he's underperforming at Tottenham, and he can't continue to be rewarded for underperforming. We can't when we're at work. If you underperform.
Oh, is he gone?
All right.
Let's move on. Phil,
anyway, Phil,
absolutely brilliant call. Thank you for coming on.
Nice to talk to you, Phil.
Let's move on to the Jory call. Jory, how's it going, my friend?
Hey, it's going swimmingly, I think, right? Can you hear me?
Swimmingly.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah.
Swimmingly, is it?
Yeah, I mean, you gotta be in heaven after that performance, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, did you stay awake during that game?
Barely, just barely. Yeah.
The lighting, I don't know how you can stay away watching that game with that lighting. It was very dark in there, Jory.
Yeah,
sorry, it's reflecting our mood, I must say.
Hold on, guys. I'll add some light.
There we go. Hey, presto.
Light at the end of the tunnel.
And then there was light. But Jory, on Nuno's decision to leave 11 first-team players at home, do you agree with that after seeing that today?
Yeah, spot on. I think what we just saw tonight. I mean, once again, slowly certain kind of institutional issues are revealed for us. So we have one competitive team. And Nuno rightly made the choice that to be competitive in one competition instead of losing two. So
someone else trying to be competitive. I think.
Yeah, well, Isaac's trying to get some attention here. But
she's just trying to tell you how bad the performance was today.
Yeah, well, yeah, even he could see that. But yeah, so I think it was the right choice to go to basically take all these non-first team players, and what we then see when they play is that the veteran players are so much of a liability and a detriment, and so weak in character that our new players can't really even overcome that, So I think like whatever Jill does, whatever the young guy Scarlett and so on try and do, and even Tanganga, they can't overcome the kind of the rut that a Winks and Dele and unfortunately, I kind of suspect that Roden maybe is falling in with that crowd a little bit, like with Undambele and the La Mafia situation. Because you find, if you're out of the team, you probably connect with some of the other British players that are out of the team. You'll bond around that. Have a similar issue in your life. So. Um, I was disappointed to see Roden's performance. I was hoping for a little bit more from him, but he hasn't played in a long time, and I haven't given up on him at all. But just think, like when you've got these veteran players like Davis, like Winks, like Dele, you gotta put the kind of not the blame, but you like if you get such a disjointed performance and such a lackluster performance in terms of character, you definitely need to look at those players. We need to get them out. It can't happen quick enough, So yeah.
Jory, when in this situation and Nuno's made the decision to leave all 10 players, all 11 players who start on Sunday at home, is there a demotivating element to that when the players who are playing tonight are pretty much effectively told, look, you're all second string and you have to prove yourself? Or should they use that, or should they see that as like a challenge? Look, I'm going to show tonight what I shouldn't be second string. What do you think?
Yeah, but I mean, the logic and the psychology is true in some sense. But come on, these guys have been stroked with the hairs, against the hairs. They've had the carrot, they've had the stick, they've had it all, and none of it works really. What's the most worrying for me is to see like a world-class skill player like Lo Celso. I feel he was very weak in character in that game. He showed a little bit of skill momentarily, but he should know that it's down to him to organize. Like, of course, these guys haven't played together at all, and I would suggest now that if you're not making the first team, no, you should train the second team as a second team and just play them as a unit. Have two solid units, because it was so clear that they hadn't done any drills together. They didn't understand each other's cues. They didn't understand each other's runs and so on. So you need to train this team now as one team, and then focus on the first team. And in terms of us, the fans, we can just say, okay, this is our Europa team now. So if we want to compete in two competitions, whether it be this one or Europa League or God forbid Champions League, this is what we've got. What do we have? We have what? Lo Celso, Gil, Tanganga, Golini, and who else would we consider to be good enough for a second team where we were playing two?
Sanchez.
Sanchez, yes. Sanchez actually was. He was among the best. Yeah, Roden normally, yes, definitely, but not based on tonight's performance. But not normally, yeah, I would say that, yeah.
So there's those kind of players, but the players like Dele Alli and Winks, I mean, they need something new. I mean, Dele Alli, me personally, I think maybe a loan move can be good for him to reinvigorate himself, something like that. But Winks, I'm just not too sure about.
No, but whether, and I agree, and I like hope for these guys, because I've got nothing against them, especially Dele. I feel for him. I hope for him. He can go to a Newcastle or whatever, Everton or whatever, and reinvent himself and just, get some inspiration there, or have a playmaker that can service him like Ericsson did, and so on, because, I don't want him to be unsuccessful. I want to see him go on and have a good career, but it's clear to me that it's going nowhere in Tottenham. And also, in terms of, we often talk about the board and Levy as, very cynical and greedy and stuff like that. Now, that all might be true, but first and foremost, Levy and the board are so banally stupid. They are so incompetent. They're amateurs in this game, and trying to save value by playing players that are not good enough is like costing us millions and billions by kicking us out of competitions way too soon, and creating non-harmony in the squads and stuff like that. Now our squad has probably not been thinner than it is right now in a long time, but Nuno still is making one solid team out of it, and I'm sure that Levy will probably, with his value hat on, try and disrupt that, try and get the players that he's trying to sell in there in Premier League games or whatever, which is just about the worst and most stupid thing you can do, So yeah, I like, we shouldn't give Levy too much credit in that regard. He's not cynical or like the greatest negotiator or whatever. He's just plain stupid, just really, really amateurish, stupid when it comes to these things. He's not able to think three moves ahead when it comes to football. And it's a shame to see. I hope, and like Villa and now Newcastle, and we'll see now in the weekend if it continues. If it continues, I have a little bit of hope that actually the football matters are mostly in the hands of Nuno and Fabio. But I'm so skeptical. You know how it is. We're getting closer to a transfer window, and I just suspect Levy is going to be tampering with it. So
Yeah, well, when it comes to the transfer window, number one surely has to be a backup striker, because the longer I just don't think we can rely on teenagers in European competition to fill in for world-class strikers and expect it to go very well. And it's no surprise that we had one shot on goal today and barely had a presence up front when we're relying on a 17-year-old to lead the line. And
true.
I think today was more evidence of that, wasn't it?
Yeah. But that's also a little bit of the curse of having an elite striker like Kane, is that and you brought it up in one of your videos, Sim, is like it will be very hard to convince a top striker to come and play second fiddle, and we shouldn't be convincing. The way I see it, we definitely need to get rid of Kane and try and get two top strikers instead. That's what our play. I mean, as much as okay, I've been vocal about the situation this summer and all that. It's not about that really. It's just about time has moved on now. We're really playing a very risky game, trying to keep this on a hold. We need to offload him while we can get some value and really come strong out of it. I think, and like my hope is, and I suspect that they're trying to make it happen this January. But I also agree with your take that, especially if we're still like we're now close to top places, then it's very risky and difficult to kind of make that call, to risk it all. But because we know what Kane brings once he's going, we know that he's as close to a guarantee as you get in this game, So and like also the other risk, actually, I would say, is like the three now are amazing together. Like they are really gelling together, Lucas, Kane, and Son. So. But I would also say if we got another strong winger, like you actually suggested, Sim, we could of course switch between Son and Kane as strikers. That would be an option, and then we have two world-class strikers for sure. So
exactly, that would be a good option, I would think. Oh, and
yeah,
now Declan Rice is going off for West Ham with half an hour to go, so he's going to have a good rest for Sunday.
They're 3-0 up West Ham as well.
There you go. Well, look at Sunday, Jory, with today's result. Obviously losing 1-0 to Vitesse. Put a bit more pressure on Nuno to get a result on Sunday, considering his choice of selection, or do you think it doesn't change it too much?
I mean, I would say in some ways yes, Sim, because there is that contingent of the fan base that's a little bit clueless. So yes, those fans might actually fall into the trap of being like something Nuno out or whatever, putting more pressure on him. But I think even if you don't agree with him leaving all the first team players or all the first choice players at home, I think everybody that follows this team closely agree with taking the minimum risk in terms of that selection, and so even if you're not 100% on board with Nuno's choice, you kind of have to give it at least respect. You can see his logic, you can see what he's doing. So I think it's more when we watch managers and we stop seeing a plan, stop seeing a system, stop seeing an identity, can't find the logic, then you should be maybe considering manager out. But I can completely see the logic and the plan and so on with this. But yes, he will call on the kind of casual fans are going to be probably more likely to fall into that. Yeah, for sure. I would say the positive side is that now, as these things go, it ebbs and flows. Now we need to get a response, right? So hopefully our first choice boys can respond for this game now.
And if we win on Sunday, all is forgiven.
Oh, for
That's
sure.
the truth. That's the
For
truth.
sure.
Jory, always good to speak to you, my friend. Lovely
Take
to
care,
see you as
guys.
always.
Likewise.
Take care. Good night to Isaac.
Come on.
See ya.
Got a few super chats to get through. Chris Peters says Ings would have been a good buy. Pity we didn't get.
He would have, but then again, he's number one striker at Aston Villa, isn't he? So
yeah,
it's going to be difficult to convince him.
It was a difficult one. AT says West Ham set pieces versus us. I'm scared.
Yeah, you should be.
Yeah, tell me about it. And Mintu Lee says Winks ain't no Iniesta and Dele ain't no Gullit. Told you the Dele's reborn thing wasn't real. Time's up for them.
I didn't say it wasn't real, but I was skeptical about his reborn thing in the summer yet again, because it's like we've seen it before so many times. Oh, he's in the gym again.
Every start of the season,
Every time.
last year Dyer was like, "Oh, this is the real Dele.
I'm excited about this Dele. I'm excited."
And then coming into this season, Dele's playing really well in pre-season. We've seen all those pictures and videos of him in Dubai in the gym and all that kind of stuff. Nuno's talking him up and everything.
I just wonder if we're expecting. Like, obviously, we all want that Dele back that scored all those goals, but I just wonder if we're just expecting something that he's just not capable of. Like, because I remember so clearly, like when we back in that team that he was so successful, and if you looked at his average position, he was higher up than Harry Kane. He was literally closer to goal than Harry Kane. That was his average position. That's what he used to play.
He was the one going into the box and the end of Ericsson balls and all that kind of stuff. We just don't have a link up for him anymore.
He's just not
that.
He's just not that anymore. So I don't know what to expect from him. You know what I mean? And anyway, like he putting in these performances, but everyone, the only reason I feel kind of bad is like everyone says, "Oh, he doesn't care." But I don't know if it's a case of he just doesn't care or he's just not that good. Maybe it's just a case of we can't actually do it. He can't do what he used to because he's not played in the same role. So, like, that's it. I don't know. I don't know. It's hard.
Time will tell.
It's 3 years. Does he really want to waste 3 years of his career not caring? I don't know if I believe that.
Time will tell at the end of the day, but I genuinely believe that he needs a loan move. And if that doesn't work out, then we'll know. Then we know. But look, we'll see what happens. Let's bring on Adam. Adam, how's it going, buddy? You're on mute, I think.
Is he on mute? Might be your side, mate. There's something? Anything?
Does that help?
Go.
Yes, that helps. That helps.
Yes, Adam. How are we doing, mate?
It'd be good to have the audio interface on.
The mute button, yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah, no, I'm not doing too bad, lads. How are you?
Yeah, not well.
Should have gone
to be
we
honest.
should have gone 3-5-2, I think.
Okay, hold on.
those players.
Thank you for saying it was 3-5-1-2 because the other day someone said it was. I said go for a 5 at the back with Brian Hill playing left wing back. I'm like, I didn't say that at all. I didn't say that. I
You
said
said
play
on the
without
left.
wing back.
I thought you actually said that as well, to be honest.
No, not at all. I was seeing a few different people in the chat completely misquoting me. I was like, were people not listening? No, I genuinely like. I feel like people kind of thought that I was being incredibly negative during the last chat, and I wasn't. I was just kind of explaining what I thought would be a bit of a better strategy. And this time around, I feel like what I was saying probably would have worked out a little bit better again. But I do also think that it's clear that we're not prioritizing this competition, and I just like coming from a much more optimistic point of view. Hopefully, I think the main thing is that just because we saw a negative game tonight with our second team playing, I still think that we should be very optimistic we can beat West Ham on Sunday. It's possible with the first team. We can.
But Adam, are you disappointed tonight in terms of, the players who are clearly second choice? That's why they've been picked tonight. They're in the second Europa Conference League team, and they've got an opportunity tonight to show the manager maybe that they want to be part of that first team that was left home. Maybe they want to be part of the team left home next time, and they didn't take the opportunity at all. On the opposite, they probably did their chances harm. Like, are you disappointed in that sense, or do you feel like the team was just so disjointed it was hard to get a performance out of these players?
I think that it's partly coming down to the fact that they don't get much time playing together. I mean, that second team hasn't, in that, that particular 11 aren't getting as much time together as the first team are. But that being said, I wouldn't excuse that performance either based on that. I think Bergwijn is still letting us down in the final third. I think again, if we were to play in the position in the formation that I'm suggesting, he'd be the one carrying the ball forward, and we wouldn't be relying on him for goals, which is kind of at the moment where he's playing. You would think that he'd be kind of doing what Sonny's doing in the first team and kind of cut in and put one away, but he's just not doing it in the final third. I think that what you guys were saying is absolutely right. Relying on Dane Scarlett to do anything when he's a 17-year-old kid and with that much pressure on him is not fair. And I do think some of the players are playing out of position. I think Dele Alli should be playing as the striker or in a 2 with Dane. And then I think that Lo Celso, someone else said this as well, should be playing in the 10, which didn't happen. So I can't. I would say Nuno is still getting to grips with the team, and I think if he realized those things, it would help. But I mean, some of those performances, like Dele Alli especially, I would literally only give him another chance if we were going to stick him up front. The guy is just constantly losing the ball, doesn't seem to really want to put the effort in the way that he should. We know that he's able to score. Just stick him up front in those games. That's for me. It doesn't make any sense to have him there. Lo Celso could have been feeding him from the 10. So, I wouldn't be pessimistic about the squad as a whole. All it's really saying to me is there is still deadwood, and the main thing is we are still rebuilding. So many people are saying, "Oh, the rebuild is nonsense. We've tried this before." Blah 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 blah. I trust Paratici, to be honest. They didn't have the money to get the signings that we would have liked during the summer. But I think Levy came out recently and said that the club is kind of financially stable now. He might be shooting himself in the foot by saying that, but we're going to expect better signings either in January or next summer. The rebuild is still happening. And I do trust the first team. But I think that we can improve.
You say you trust this first team, but the second team let us down time and time again with these personnel on the pitch today. So with knowing that, surely do you not think that Nuno should have taken some of the first team players at least on the bench today?
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, again, if with my manager's hat on, I would have had to, either Højbjerg or Skip would have been in my first team, in my team for this game, trying to marshal everyone. And I just don't like. You would never see me playing Winks. Winks should have been gone in the summer. I really, really hope he's gone in January. Really bad. Like he should never wear a Spurs shirt ever again. And
unless it's in his living room watching the Spurs.
Exactly, yeah. Selling fish and chips from a car outside or something. He should absolutely never, ever, ever play on the pitch.
Yeah.
In terms of players tonight who may be like maybe not Deadwood, you think, or maybe just who are there any players tonight you feel like maybe who, if they are part of the first team who are filling in replacing the first team, could do a better job as opposed to are just Deadwood, like the likes of Winks and Dele? Who do you think tonight goes into that category?
I think that if we were to play the team that we played against Newcastle, against West Ham, but you replaced Nombelli for Lo Celso, I think that Lo Celso could do this. I mean, he's not the same kind of player, but he could do a good job. If you had Tanganga coming in for Emerson, I still think that he would be okay. So there, and Brian Hill, I think Brian Hill was very good tonight. He's just playing with a bunch of people who weren't putting in the same effort that he was. So there are players in there that I'm like, even Sanchez. I still think that, here's the thing, the team that did so well for us in the 18-19 season, when we got to a Champions League final, Sanchez was playing in a 3 in the middle of Jan Vertonghen and Toby Alderweireld. Now, we don't have those two players anymore, but we do have Christian Romero, who looks shit hot as far as I'm concerned, and will only get better because he's so young. All we have to do is get someone out on the left, because Dyer's not going to cut it. I don't think Roden is at the level that we'd want him to be. We bring in another centre back that can play on the left. That's amazing. And then you've got the same situation we had in that Champions League run that we did so well in. I don't understand why people are so afraid of going into a 3.
I don't understand why a 3 at the back is seen as so defensive. Like Chelsea play a 3 at the back, no one says they're defensive. You know what
Germany
I mean?
play a 3 at the back at times. Like,
it doesn't have to be defensive. It depends how you play it, but it doesn't have to be defensive. 100%, I agree with that.
If you play 3 at the back, you've got an extra player going forward, really, because you haven't got a 4 at the back. You've got a 3. I mean, you've got realistically, you've got more options for your attacking players too.
I used to do it on FIFA when I wanted to go more attacking. I'll go with 3 at the back.
We do it at FIFA,
and we do it at FIFA now.
Yeah.
To be more attacking, not to be less. So, obviously it can be defensive, but it doesn't have to be. A quick one from Crocodox. He's got a super chat for you, Adam. Asking you a question. He says, putting Lo Celso as a number 10 and Dele as a striker leaves Winks as a sole DM. That's suicide if we are just using our reserve team. Is that who would you put alongside Winks as in midfield then? If you're going to put Lo Celso in a 10 and Dele up front.
Well, as I say, at the very least, I would have still, I wouldn't have played none of our first team players. So regardless, like whether it was Højbjerg or Skip,
you would have brought one of them in.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like unless I was literally, the thing is, Nuno could have been told by management, by Levy and whoever, we don't care about this competition. You're not bringing any of the players for West Ham. We absolutely want top 4. So West Ham is the priority. So any player that you're putting against West Ham, do not bring with you on that plane. And if that is the case, then you had no choice. You've got to play a Winks. Yeah, I don't know what you said his name was, but if he's saying it's suicide, fine. It's then, they've given up the game anyway. So what difference does it make? At the very least, we'd have had better scoring opportunities with both of those players, Lo Celso playing in the cam and Dele playing as a striker.
So you think, let's say the board didn't interfere in Nuno's selection, you think it was a mistake in general not taking any of the first team players? Do you think they should have been there in reserve just in case?
That's the thing, though. It really depends on, like, do you want trophies or do you want top 4? For me, at this point, I'm happy. Sorry, I'm happy to wait for the rebuild to get us into top 4 territory. I'd love to see another trophy. I know, like, a lot of people are just like, they do not care about this trophy. It's a nothing burger. So it really depends, if we care about bringing some silverware home, this is the one that we can definitely do if we put, if we put our effort into it. But I think that it's just a case that they were like, no, we've no interest in lowering our odds of ending up in higher positions in other competitions to go for this trophy. It seems that way at this moment in time.
Yeah, I bet you probably get more money for reaching the Champions League qualifying than you do for winning this Conference League, I would assume. So that's where I reckon that's where the board's priorities, I assume, are.
Yeah, probably. And the thing is, it could have been, if they may not have assumed that we were going to lose this game 1-0. They might have thought, even with this team, we'll put in a decent performance, and it's a shop window situation. I mean, like if it is a case of Dele and Winks and a few others getting sold so that we can make room for players that we all really want to see come to Spurs, then that might have been on their mind. But after a performance like that, they shot themselves in the foot. That's what they were thinking, because who's going to want any of those players giving that kind of a performance?
Yeah, that's the thing. And those kind of players, they need to be in a settled team. They need to be showing off what they can do in a proper settled team, rather than in a proper disjointed, cobbled together team where it's hard to really get any cohesion. And then you're made to look worse. Obviously, there's no excuse for playing terribly, but it does exacerbate it, doesn't it? When the team you don't know how the team haven't played it together a lot. And as you said before, and also I just feel like the makeup of the team was just always terrible. Like, as I said before, you got two fullbacks who are very average on the ball. Like, they're not able to keep the ball very well. So you can't really get the ball out wide. You've got three midfielders in the centre who aren't very good at retrieving the ball or making tackles. Regardless of whether in the Premier League or what kind of competition, they've never been that kind of player where they're always going to make tackles or whatever. So it was always going to be difficult to get the ball back on Vitesse. And then you've got a striker up front who's a teenager and he's got no focal point. So all that put together, it's like very difficult to get that team gelling.
How often did we knock on the door at all? Like, really, the only time
we hit the bar, that was it. Yeah.
Yeah, Brian Hill hitting the bar was the best thing that we did all evening, and he is showing his quality. I think he was playing with a bunch of people that he's not getting enough time with. They're not getting enough time with each other, and what harm would it have done? What harm would it have done to have Tanganga, Sanchez, and Rodon playing as a three, having an extra player going forward? And surely we would have had more creative options than what we had tonight with playing with our formation.
All right,
I'll argue this
Go on.
until the cows come home. our best formation will be a three at the back. Nobody can tell me that I'm wrong until we try it. And considering that's the team that got to a Champions League final for the first time ever, was a three at the back. So,
well, Nuno did play a three at the back at Wolves, so you never know. You never know.
I think we will see it at some point. I do think we will.
If it keeps going, well, I think as long as the first team are doing well, I don't think we will.
Yeah, well, we'll see how long. Yeah. We'll see how long that lasts for. But Adam, we'll see you soon, my friend, and thanks for coming on.
Thanks for having me again, lads. Come on, you Spurs.
I mean, the more and more I think about it, the more I completely disagree with leaving all these 11 men behind at home.
Disagree with it?
Yeah, I do disagree with it. I think that you have to take some of these players at least to bring on the bench, because you know what these players are going to bring. And yes, it's fine to give them a chance. I've got no problem with that. Another chance and another chance and another chance and another chance. But at least leave us with options off the bench that we can bring on to impact the game. At least.
Yeah, I can understand that, but I'm just fine. I'm fine with it personally. I don't mind losing if it means getting a result on Sunday. I just don't mind.
But you can't say that. It does give us a better chance, but even if they come on the bench and come off for the last 20 minutes, it doesn't impact the chance.
Maybe, I don't know. That's the decision they've made. I'm just okay with it.
It's just it doesn't impact our chances to win on Sunday if Harry Kane comes on for the last 20 minutes today.
Well, maybe that time spent with the coaching staff really on the training ground is more valuable than 20 minutes on the pitch. That's what Nuno thinks, maybe. That's all I'm thinking.
Maybe.
And also Jack Clark had posted an Instagram of him on the side of the pitch with the tagline, "Patiently waiting."
You need to wait a bit longer, mate. You need to wait a bit longer.
Looking a bit glum. So it looks like Jack Clark might be starting to get a bit frustrated with life at Tottenham Hotspur.
I was just doing some research into prize monies for the European competitions. Winners of the Champions League, well, I don't know about the winners, but you can win up to about 89 million in the Champions League. Europa League, 25 million for the winners, all the way through with all the prize money all together. And Conference League, 15 million.
15.
It's not
terrible,
too bad.
I guess.
Not too bad. Daniel Levy will probably...
How much you get for getting to the group stage of the Champions League? Probably.
I don't know.
Probably more than 15 million.
Oh, probably, yeah. But we're
what about group stages Europa League?
I think the Europa League and Conference League are very similar price brackets. You get $500,000 for each win in the group stages of this tournament, and you get 650 grand for each win in the winners of the Europa League group stages.
So Levy must be fuming.
All right, let's bring on the last caller of the day. Big up to the Irish Hotspur. Come on, Dave. How's it going, mate?
Lads, look, the very first fan show I done when I came on, I've been speaking about some of these exact same players. A year and a half later, here we are again.
Yeah, no, absolutely spot on. But do you think it was the right decision from Nuno to leave the 11 at home that he did?
Yeah, I do believe it. I do think so. Look, I think league is our priority. I think when we all qualified for this last season, a lot of us were saying, this is perfect to give the likes of the squad players a run out, the youngsters a run out. And at the end of the day, if the squad players stepped up and helped some of these youngsters, results like this wouldn't happen. Look, at Tottenham Hotspur, we make too many excuses for Dele Alli, Winks, Ben Davies. But look, for me, we've got to stop doing it. We've got to stop making excuses for these players. You heard what Ben Davies said after the game. He blamed the pitch. He blamed the referee. He blamed the crowd for the intimidating atmosphere. He was about to blame my missus, I thought, at some stage. Absolutely. I've had enough of it. There's no accountability. Yet again, I've seen the same pattern now under three managers, under Pochettino, under Jose, and under Nuno, where they're letting the manager come out and take the bullets, and they're the ones that just sit there happy out because they know no matter what, Nuno will go, the next manager will come in and they'll be sitting there again. I'm absolutely fed up with these guys.
But David, you're saying that, don't give these players chances to make the excuses. But how do we do that if we leave 11 men back at home?
No, I get that. I get that. But the thing is, like, we can't. We went down that route last year. Jose ended up going down that route where he was bringing Kane in, a Højbjerg in, a Son in. And ultimately, at the end of the season, we were gassed. We were fucked.
Yeah, that's because Jose didn't work on fitness. That's why.
Yeah, well, that too. That obviously comes to it as well. But, like, the thing is, they're fit now. There's still no improvement with some of these guys. You know what I mean? At the end of the day, our players were gassed out come the end of the season. Yes, fitness issues has to do with it, but the amount of games they were purely asked to play as well was absolutely ridiculous. If we played Kane and Son there today, and one of them got injured for West Ham, people were going absolutely nuts about it, saying he shouldn't have played and they should have been rested.
I get that, but why not take them along for the journey as well? Bring them on for the last 20 minutes if we need a goal. If we had Son and Kane or just one of them coming on today for the last 20 minutes, we might not have lost that game.
Yeah, that I can't argue. Look, maybe when I was thinking about earlier, and maybe he could have brought some of them on the bench. But at the end of the day, look, we're talking about full internationals out here today. We're talking about full international players playing for some of the biggest nations in world football.
Yeah.
We're talking about full international players, and it's just not good enough. Look, you look back under Pochettino, the Colchester result happened. Ben Davies, Winks, and Ali played. Antwerp last season under Jose Mourinho. Ben Davies, Winks, Dele Alli played. Pacos de Frere at the start of the season. Ben Davies and Harry Winks played in that, same as Lo Celso. Palace, Ben Davies, Harry Winks played. Tonight, Ben Davies, Harry Winks, Dele Alli played. And Dele Alli played against Palace as well. There's a recurring team here. There's results under three different managers that should not happen, that are actually embarrassing us, the fans, the club, and the whole area as a general. They're actually embarrassing it. The headlines now or tomorrow are going to be all about Tottenham Hotspur. You know what I mean? These players, they will not stand up and take responsibility. Look, I don't blame Harry Winks. I actually blame the board. Look, they allowed him to get stale. That's grand, Harry. You stay there. You take your money. Be quiet. You're going to stay here because you're a homegrown player. We have no ambition to try and bring any other youngsters through, and we're just going to let you sit happy. Dele Alli, look, honestly, that guy is finished at Tottenham Hotspur. I've been saying this for about a year now. He is done at Tottenham Hotspur. With Dele Alli, his best years were when when he was running off Harry Kane, he was getting into the box and Christian Eriksen was feeding him. You do not have someone to do that now. With the decline in form with Christian Eriksen came the decline of Dele Alli, and he hasn't recaptured it since. Look, Ali, for me, if he wants to be playing that number 10, he has to learn how to be creative. He has to learn. At one stage, he got the ball in the middle of the park, right? It was a simple touch and a layoff into Lo Celso as Lo Celso was trying to run out. Ali flicks it and gives away the ball. Now, that is not good enough. That is lazy. That is lazy as far as I'm concerned. It's not good enough. You look at Steven Bergwijn. I'm not really going to get on his case because, in fairness, it's his first game back since August. But at one stage, you're talking, we're 1-0 down, yeah? Their right back dropped to get the ball. Now, you're looking at Steven Bergwijn, and he's standing there, and you're like, okay, go and put pressure on him so the keeper has to go along. So it gives you a chance of getting the ball back. What happened to keeper passes to right back to play out? It's not good enough. It's lazy play. It's lazy. You're talking about a full international player there. I don't want people to be making Dane Scarlett the focal point of this or throwing him under the bus. At the end of the day, if our midfield could get into the ball, our defence could actually get a hold of the ball and stop ballooning it long. You're actually giving the kid a chance. You're actually going to give the kid a chance. Today, it was just long ball pumped up after long ball after long ball. You could have played Llorente up there today. You wouldn't have seen much different. You wouldn't have. There's nothing the kid can do. I don't blame Nuno for today. I don't think anybody should blame Nuno for today. You look at the distinct difference between the other day and today. Same formation, just different players. Look at the drop-off in quality. It's not good enough. You go to Ben Davies. This guy has been at Tottenham, has never, ever nailed down the left-back starting spot. He's been here 8 years nearly. 8 years. It's not good enough. We allow these players to get way too comfortable. You're thinking they're looking at, okay, how do I get into the team for West Ham? Or how do I throw my name into the team for all the massive fixtures coming up in December, the hectic fixture schedule? Okay, well, I need to start performing. I need to look at myself. These players won't do that. And Ben Davies is evidence again with what he said after the game.
Yeah, I completely agree with that, David. And it's again another performance where, just remember under Mourinho, when we played Antwerp away, and we rested everyone. A whole bunch of players rested, and then at half time he makes 5 substitutions because he can't stand what he's seeing, and yet we're relying on these same players now, aren't we? Which is really, really difficult. But are there any players tonight who you think maybe not this weekend because we know who's going to be starting 11, but maybe in the future you think in a first 11 could be part of the team, could break into that first 11?
I think Gil has a very good chance if he can push Lucas Moura on that right-hand side. I think Tanganga, he'll do just fine. Maybe perhaps Joe Rodon, but again, he came out from the very off. He looked rattled. The whole lot looked rattled. At one stage, I seen the cameras pan to Harry Winks, and it looked like he was in the middle of World War II. He's so flustered, and I'm looking at the clock. I'm like, this is 15, 20 minutes in. What's going on? It's not D-Day here, Harry Winks. We're in the middle of Holland trying to play a football game. Look, for me, I think, I don't even think Galini. I'm not convinced with that anymore. Ben Davies is a write-off as far as I'm concerned. Rodon, I'm hesitant to write him off. I think Sanchez should go before him. Look, Sanchez, let's be honest with ourselves. He has never developed into the centre-back we thought he could. He just hasn't done it. Today, I don't think he was any good. I thought he was a bit all over the place at times. Tanganga, I think, he's a Tottenham boy. We've seen how much he loves the badge. I think he'll do just fine. Lo Celso, I'll be honest with you, I think he's a write-off. I think Lo Celso...
A write-off, really?
Honestly. I know he had a bit of a good spell under Jose Mourinho for that for a little bit of period, but anytime I see the guy play, he's just erratic. He's erratic on the ball. He's erratic off the ball. There's no composure in him. No composure whatsoever. It doesn't help that he's playing beside, that other idiot, Harry Winks. But the thing is, you even look at the goal they scored, lads. Our defence done the right thing. The ball was coming in. The defence is supposed to drop off and stop anything coming in and around the penalty area and the 6-yard box. Then you're looking at Lo Celso and Winks, your 2 midfielders, to pick up the players on the edge of the box. Where were they? They weren't nowhere to be seen.
Yeah.
You look at today why the result happened as well. You look at the difference between Skip and Højbjerg and Lo Celso and Winks today. Skip and Højbjerg, they're proactive in midfield. You never see the opposition players when they're playing get that sort of time on the ball that they had today. You always see them in there trying to turn over the ball. They're constantly putting pressure on the other players in there. And then when they get the ball, they're calm and composed on it. Winks and Lo Celso were all over the shop today. All over the shop. When we didn't have the ball, we gave them time to play whatever they wanted to do. And when we did have the ball, they can't even pass it between them. Dele Alli, crap. Bergwijn, crap. Scarlett, look, too young to be knocking on the first team door. But the situation is what it is. I'd rather him be giving them game time tonight than, say, a Carlos Vinicius or a player like that. And Brian Hill, I think, just to answer the question, I think has a chance of getting into the first team.
All right.
All right, David, big up to you and another great pump-up show today. We need some more guests on there next time, but that's partly our fault, not your fault.
There's a super chat for David as well, quickly. It's from William Kelly. Says, exactly, Davey boy. Same players letting us down. Doesn't matter what manager it is. The dead there, Deadwood needs gone.
Just quickly, just to answer William Kelly, if I may. Look, the thing is, we talk about Tottenham. We're starving for trophies. You know, we are absolutely hungry for trophies. I would eat my mother's arm just to get a trophy. I really would. You know, but the thing is, how do you expect to go and win a trophy when you can't get through the early preliminary rounds against absolute shit teams? Let's make no mistake about it. Vitesse Arnhem are not a good team. They're not a good team in terms of European football whatsoever. We are a club that was in the Champions League final only a couple of seasons ago. For fuck's sake, no matter what team goes out there tonight, they should be beating them. I grew up watching Harry Kane and Conor Ogliv make debuts in the UEFA Cup and putting better performances and more cohesive performances than this. I hear a lot of people saying they're not training together. Of course they're not training together because they're not a first team. You're not going to put all your eggs in one basket and get them as one cohesive unit. No second team in the world ever that goes out and plays trains as a cohesive unit. Because the idea is you put them out there and their desire, their passion and their hunger alone and their fight and trying to get into the first team should be enough to get them over the line in these games.
We're still going to qualify from the group, David.
Yeah, of course we are, because we're going to have to drag in, Harry God Kane, Son God, Hyung Min. We're going to have to bring in, Endon Bad Boy to save their asses. I'm sick of it. I'm sure they're sick of it too. I'm sure they're sitting there scratching their head. Here we go again. Unnecessary pressure on the manager, unnecessary pressure on us again heading into the weekend, because these losers, weak, spineless losers, cannot do what they're supposed to do. And there's no excuse for it. These are guys that are in the training ground every single day of the week. Do they put in the extra work? I don't believe it, because if they did, you would see some sort of improvement on the pitch. We are not seeing improvement from a lot of these players at all. And it's about time us as Spurs fans, we stop making excuses for the whole lot of them and lay the blame on their door today. It is solely on them. If you're Nuno, put yourself in Nuno's position. What means more to Spurs fans? Vitesse Arnhem or beating grown men blowing bubbles on Sunday?
Of course, it's beating West Ham, but you got to look at the whole picture. You know what I mean? You got to still put out a team where you think is going to beat Vitesse. And yes, everyone knew with this team out there today that it's you're not going to beat Vitesse with this team. We couldn't have beaten Pacos Ferreira. We're not going to beat Vitesse. So you got to have some of the big guns ready and waiting when it does go wrong, inevitably.
Yeah, that is a fair point, but I still maintain that these are full-grown men. There's 9 full internationals out there. It should be more than enough to get the job done against Vitesse Arnhem. Look, the thing is, there was pressure put on Pochettino when he had to rely on Davies and Winks. When Jose Mourinho had to rely on these guys, the pressure was mounting up on him. And the same is happening to Nuno tonight, purely because of these players. We need to really get to the bottom of it and get to the common denominator, and it's these players. It's not the management right now. It's these players. They are costing us and embarrassing us at every single opportunity they get. And then you have Harry Winks crying, knocking on doors, looking for first-team football. Please play me. If I was a manager, I'd say, fuck off, Harry. Why would I give you a game right now? You don't deserve it. It's not good enough. I'm fed up with it at Tottenham.
But he's going to miss his spot in the Euros or the World Cup. Oh, poor Harry.
Yeah, he'd get in the Bowls World Cup team. Do you know that game Bowls where you throw the ball down? That's it's the only sport he's capable of. Look, I do want to end this off because it's not all negative. That's just my rant on them psychopaths. But it's not all negative, because we do have some great players at this club. We do have a way going forward with that first 11. But that can only carry us so far. Looking at December, it's going to be a long, long month, and we do need to see improvement from the likes of these guys out here today to be able to chip in. 17 days, 7 games. That is from the 2nd of December to the 19th. That is a lot of games in a short space of time. But look, if the big guns can keep going the way they're going, let them do their job. Let's get it to January, and then we need to call on Baldy and Baldy up there, to start doing their job in the January transfer market and make the funds available to be able to help these guys.
Absolutely spot on, Dave. Thanks for coming on as always, and thanks for another great show today as well. So we'll see you next time.
Nice one, Dave.
Yeah, look, make sure everybody tunes in for the West Ham one. I will be in flying form. I'll have plenty of jokes for all them guys, believe me. And yeah, look, maybe it was the time of the day it was that today with people coming home late from work and everything else or whatever. But guys, I want to see you guys on Sunday. Full voice, full clubber on, ready to go, and let's get behind the boys. Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Yes, come on, you Spurs.
See you later, man.
See you, lads.
All right, so that is all the guests. Got a couple of super chats to get through. Some more from the Truth Sets Free without any comments. So big up to you once again for the super chat. And there's one here from Andrew Seeley saying, just a donation for the great work you boys do. Been watching for a while. On a bad day, I want to contribute to your good fight. So thank you very much,
Big
Andrew.
up to you, Andrew. Thank you very much.
Means a lot. And yeah. That is it from us. West Ham have won 3-0 at home against Genk tonight in the Europa League. So, look, big game this weekend. We'll be back tomorrow morning for another Good Morning Tottenham and a lot of content coming your way tomorrow. So tune in for that. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. Hopefully next time on a better occasion. Like, subscribe and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.